Hey guys, tonight we descend into the shadowy heart of ancient Greece, where whispers curl like incense smoke and fate is etched in stone. You're standing at the foot of Mount Parnassus, squinting against the flickering torchlight. The air is heavy with time, heat, and the faint metallic scent of ritual. This isn't just any sacred ground. This is Delphi, the navel of the ancient world, where kings once traveled for riddles masquerading as answers, and oracles breathed in vapors to speak for gods. You've come to unravel the oldest of cold cases, a disappearance that rattled the very stones of the temple. One moment, she was there, seated atop the tripod, her eyes rolling white, her voice laced with something that wasn't quite human. The next, gone. No scream, no trace, just an empty laurel crown and a legacy wrapped in ash and myth. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always surreal seeing where you're all listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step past the ruined columns, worn smooth by time and tourism. Even now, long abandoned, the stones hum with old energy, like they're waiting for someone to finish a sentence left hanging mid-curse. Delphi isn't just haunted by gods. It's haunted by memory. And tonight, it's yours. The torch in your hand flickers as a gust snakes through the ancient path. To your left, the theater's stone rows rise like frozen applause. Ahead, the temple of Apollo looms, once the cosmic hotline to divinity. You feel eyes on your back, though the site is empty. At least, it looks empty. Historically, this place wasn't just a tourist stop for toga-clad nobles. Delphi was considered the center of the world, literally. The Omphalos stone, a weirdly egg-shaped rock, was believed to mark the Earth's belly button. That's right. You're standing on what ancient Greeks considered the world's spiritual outie. But this belly button had bite. Kings, generals, and philosophers all made the trek here, hoping to have their destinies deciphered in cryptic poetry. The oracle, called the Pythia, was more powerful than most monarchs. When she spoke, armies moved, fortunes shifted, marriages ended. And on one hot summer afternoon, one Pythia didn't finish her sentence. You glance down. The flagstones below your feet don't match. One's newer, almost suspiciously clean, as if someone had it replaced. It's the kind of thing archaeologists would notice, the kind of thing cover-ups leave behind. A mainstream historical fact? Sure. Let's get grounded. The Pythia would inhale ethylene gas rising from a chasm beneath the temple, essentially a divine vaporizer, and deliver prophecies while high off her sandal-strapped mind. Scientists discovered these fault lines beneath Delphi in the early 2000s. So yeah, the gods had help. But what they don't tell you in polite textbooks is that some Pythias went a little too deep. One allegedly began speaking in a language no one recognized. Greek scholars, Egyptian diplomats, even a visiting druid shrugged. Some claimed she'd unlocked the language of the dead, which, frankly, sounds like something you shouldn't casually yell in a marble room. You enter the remains of the temple. The columns rise like petrified giants, their fluted bodies weathered by centuries. You imagine her here, the last oracle. Let's call her Thaleia. It's not her real name, but it feels right. She sits cross-legged, eyes glazed, pupils wide as coins, voice low and ragged. "They're coming," she says. Someone laughs. Maybe the high priest. Maybe you. But she doesn't smile. She says it again, louder this time. "They're coming." Then silence. You blink, and she's gone. No scream, no sound. Just her laurel crown, still warm from her head, resting on the cold stone like it had never known a skull. Historians still argue whether Thaleia existed at all. Some say she's a composite of several lost records. Others believe her tale was invented to explain missing temple wealth. But records do show a sudden disruption in Delphi's priesthood around 320 BCE. Fewer oracles, fewer visitors, and one mysteriously sealed chamber never reopened. It's almost like the gods hit snooze. You move deeper into the temple. A bird darts out from a broken window, startling you. You almost laugh. Almost. In one corner, there's a faint engraving. It looks newer than the rest, scratched, almost childlike. You kneel and read it aloud. "I told you." Charming. You step back, heartbeat steady, breath shallow. Something's wrong. The air feels thick, like a room full of whispered secrets. You swear you hear a distant voice, high, musical, and sad. Just the wind? Or maybe she's still talking, waiting, repeating her warning for anyone who will listen. And tonight, that's you. You follow the echo. It tugs at you gently, like a child's hand in a crowd. Urgent, but not panicked. The stones underfoot are slick with centuries of wear, and you move carefully, each footstep resonating just enough to remind you how alone you are, or how not alone. Ahead lies the remnants of the Adyton, the inner sanctum where the Oracle once sat. No tourists allowed here now, but you're not most tourists, are you? You duck beneath a low arch and enter the room. It smells like old ash and something sour, faint, but stubborn. Your torch casts trembling shadows along the walls, revealing faint carvings, Greek mostly, but some markings seem off, sharper, hungrier. In the center of the room lies a broken stone tripod, blackened and cracked down the middle. That's where she would have sat. You crouch and reach toward it, brushing away dust. Your fingers pause as they touch something metallic. A thin band of twisted bronze, still warm. You stand quickly, heart tapping at your ribs like it's trying to signal SOS. Your eyes scan the room again. Nothing moves, but something feels moved. In ancient times, the Pythia always wore a crown of laurel leaves, a gift from Apollo himself, so the stories go. Historical records from Herodotus to Plutarch describe it in reverent detail. The crown was said to hum faintly when placed on a worthy head. And yet, here it lies, discarded like costume jewelry. Its leaves bent inward, almost in mourning. A mainstream fact. The laurel crown wasn't just ceremonial. Laurel was considered a purifier, a shield against madness. Romans used it in their bathhouses and even burned it in sick rooms. So losing it, for someone like Thaleia, may have felt like more than just disrobing. It could have been spiritual exposure, like walking into battle without armor. You hold the crown carefully. It's heavier than expected. One leaf is stained, dark red, almost black at the edge. Dried blood? Old wine? You're not sure you want to know. You turn slowly, scanning the walls again. Then you spot it. A mark you didn't see before. It's subtle, carved just below eye level. 3 concentric circles, intersected by a single diagonal slash. Not Greek, not anything you recognize, but somehow it buzzes behind your eyes like a half-remembered dream. You take a shaky step back, accidentally crunching something underfoot. You look down. A feather. Small, white, and unburned. In a temple destroyed by fire, that shouldn't be possible. That's when you hear it. A footstep. Not yours. You freeze. The sound came from the outer hall, just one step. Deliberate. Waiting. You hold your breath. A full minute passes. Then another. Nothing. You exhale and inch forward, whispering encouragement to yourself like a bad life coach. The crown goes into your satchel. If anyone asks, it was already broken. As you exit the sanctum, something shifts in the air. Colder now. You look back one last time. The feathers gone. You emerge into the courtyard, grateful for the open sky. The clouds above are thickening. The moon veiled like it's shielding its eyes. In the far corner of the courtyard stands an old olive tree, gnarled, watchful. You cross toward it, slowly, the ground crunching with old gravel and fallen leaves. At the tree's base lies a folded piece of cloth, deep blue, gold-trimmed, a pilgrim's cloak, fresh. You kneel and examine it. No dust, no age. The inside hem bears stitched letters. To Thaleia, from your unfaithful god. You smile despite yourself. The gods really did have a flair for drama. But then you spot the mark again. 3 circles, 1 slash, etched into the bark above. The exact same as inside the temple. This time, you feel it in your gut. It's not just a symbol. It's a signature. Quirky fact time. Greek pilgrims used to leave secret tokens around Delphi. Riddles, offerings, even confessions. One such message, carved in 90 BCE, was found decades ago, hidden beneath a stairwell. It read, "I saw Apollo dance in her eyes." Historians still argue whether it was a romantic delusion or a hint at something more supernatural. And now, here's your pilgrim. Gone, but not forgotten. The cloak is warm. You swear it smells faintly of sandalwood and citrus. You pick it up, fold it, and place it beside the tree respectfully. You get the sense it's not yours to keep. You stand, suddenly chilled. Something feels off-kilter again. And then, off to your left, you see movement. A figure, cloaked, watching from between 2 broken columns. You blink. They're gone. You walk slowly in that direction, muscles tight, torch shaking slightly in your grip. No footsteps, no sound. Just the impression of presence. You reach the spot where the figure stood. There, etched into the stone, is something new. A single phrase. She knew. You swallow. Knew what? Your pulse answers with a polite shrug. The air thickens again. Thunder rumbles overhead, distant but creeping. You take one last look at the tree, the cloak, the message. You've only just begun. And someone, or something, is already watching. You descend the narrow path behind the olive grove, footsteps muffled by moss and grit. It winds down toward what used to be the marketplace, agora in the tongue of marble and myth. Tonight, it's silent. Just the hush of wind scraping across old stalls and the faint creak of wood that shouldn't still be standing. That's where you see him. Or rather, where everyone claimed they saw him. The cloaked stranger. No sandals, no pack. Just a ragged gray hood, drawn too low, like he wasn't entirely sure how faces worked. He showed up 3 days before the Oracle vanished, walking straight through the agora without once speaking. Except to one person, a child. She was selling olives and honeyed figs, or so the record goes. She remembered him because he paid in silver, and because he asked a question no one else dared to ask aloud. Where can I find Thaleia? Now, normally that name would raise eyebrows. Temple names were private, known only to clergy and close kin. Outsiders never used them, not unless they'd heard them whispered from someone inside. Or something. The girl pointed, and he nodded, placing a coin in her hand. She blinked, looked again, and he was already gone. You move past where her stall once stood. The stones are cold, slick with dew, and something sharp catches your eye. A flash of silver between two bricks. You crouch. A coin. Worn smooth on one side, but the other is unmistakable. A laurel crown with a serpent coiled around it. Not Greek, not Roman. Definitely not modern, but familiar. Too familiar. You pocket it. You'll examine it later, assuming you're not hexed by midnight. Here's the historical side of the story. Delphi attracted all kinds of spiritual seekers. Not just Greeks, Egyptians, Persians, Celts. People believed the gods converged here like it was divine Coachella, and many cults traveled in secret. Some traded coins, never seen again. Others vanished entirely. But this stranger, he was different. Some said he didn't blink. Others claimed his shadow pointed the wrong direction. A few insisted he left no footprints at all. No one remembers his face. Not one. Which would be fine if he hadn't spoken to 7 different people. The blacksmith's apprentice swore he saw the stranger ask a priest for water. The baker remembered him buying barley bread, only to drop it untouched in the temple spring. And the guard at the temple gates recalled letting him pass after being told the Oracle had summoned him. She hadn't, at least not publicly. You arrive at the temple's outer gate, mostly crumbled now. You run your hand across the worn stone, imagining the moment he crossed through. No invitation, no offering, just a quiet certainty that he belonged. That's how you get in anywhere, really. Walk like the world owes you something vague and ancient. Beyond the gate, a tiled path leads toward the Pythia's private chamber, Thaleia's room. No one without holy clearance was ever allowed in, but the door had been found open the morning after her disappearance. Not broken, not forced, just unlatched. Inside, they found nothing unusual. No blood, no sign of struggle. Just the lingering scent of bay leaves and honey wax, and a soft indent in the bed's mattress, like someone had risen only moments before. But a scribe, one of the temple's copyists, remembered something strange. That same night, he passed a cloaked man in the archive hall. The man didn't speak, just placed a hand on the wall, as if feeling for a heartbeat in the stone. The scribe said he had eyes like soot, or like nothing at all. The man vanished before the next guard shift. The scroll he'd touched? Missing. No record remains of what was written on it, only that it bore a black ribbon used exclusively for prophecies deemed too disruptive. And now, the stranger was gone. Thaleia, too. A quirky note from temple gossip. The oracle before Thaleia once predicted a man of ashes would come not to burn the temple, but to make it forget fire. The phrase stuck because it made no sense at the time. Fire had built the legacy of Delphi, eternal flames, incense, volcanic gods. But forget fire? Historians still argue whether the prophecy referred to the stranger or to some larger metaphysical unraveling. Some say it foretold the decline of Delphi itself. Others think it was a poetic metaphor for old beliefs being replaced. Or maybe it was just about taxes. Who knows? You move toward the edge of the ruins where the ground breaks away into wild bramble. The air here smells different, less dry, more electric. A memory of a storm still waiting to happen. At your feet, something catches the light. A footprint. Not yours. Bare. Human. Fresh. It points away from the temple toward the cliffs. You follow, step by step, torch in hand, heart pacing like a metronome with trust issues. The path narrows, the stone beneath your feet fractured and moody. The wind sings now, low and persistent, as if mimicking a voice that was never meant for human ears. And then you see it. Carved into the cliffside, nearly invisible unless you're looking directly at it, is that same mark. 3 circles, 1 slash. Only this time it's different. The circles are bleeding. Or maybe it's just paint. You hope it's paint. You lean closer, torch trembling slightly in your grip. The blood, if that's what it is, drips in slow, thick lines down the stone, pooling in natural grooves like veins on a marble corpse. It shouldn't still be wet. It shouldn't still be red. And it certainly shouldn't smell like copper and jasmine. You step back. The cliff's edge looms behind you, and for a split second, the wind shifts. Not a breeze, more like a breath. Close, curious. You turn, expecting a hawk, maybe a bat. Instead, you find silence. Complete, like the world just hit mute. The sacred spring is just ahead, or at least what used to be a spring. According to ancient maps and a few frantic archaeologists, there was once a natural fissure here, a deep crack in the earth from which water bubbled endlessly. Clear, cool, sacred. Pilgrims bathed in it. Priests guarded it. The oracle drank from it before every session. And now? Now it's dry. Not just dry, withered. As if the land forgot it ever held water. You crouch, peering into the dark fissure. Dust, bones, and old coins lie scattered along the edges, but the bottom's too deep to see. You toss a pebble down. No sound. Of course. The temple records say the spring dried up the very night Thaleia vanished. No rain for weeks, no tremors, just one moment, water. The next, emptiness. Locals called it Apollo's grief. Others whispered darker names. A mainstream fact to anchor this: Delphi sits on 2 major fault lines. The spring was fed by underground pressure, possibly volcanic activity, which also produced the gases inhaled by the oracle. Geologists claim shifts in the rock could explain the sudden loss of water. But geologists also didn't find what the priest claimed to see: a pale hand reaching up from the spring moments before it ran dry. He said it wasn't hers. Corky said it had too many fingers. You try not to dwell on that as you continue along the path. The air feels thinner here. You're not sure if it's elevation, tension, or just the growing suspicion that you're no longer alone. Your next clue isn't visual, it's auditory. A flute. Soft, distant, impossibly melodic. It rises like fog from the rocks and coils around your brain with the familiarity of a lullaby you forgot you knew. You follow. Not because you want to, but because it's playing your name. You think, maybe. The path ends at a small, ruined altar. Half-collapsed, moss-covered, and charming in that this used to host human sacrifice kind of way. There's something on the altar, a clay dish. Inside, 3 items. A lock of dark hair tied with golden thread. A broken piece of mirror, still reflecting nothing but your eyes. A fig, fresh, bleeding at the stem. You don't touch any of it. Good instincts. Instead, you scan the surrounding brush, noticing for the first time a trail of small, deliberate stones leading down a steep incline. You follow, because of course you do. The terrain shifts beneath you, loose gravel and secrets threatening your balance, but you manage to descend without dying. Bonus. At the bottom lies a forgotten shrine, not on any map, not in any archive. The marble has eroded into unrecognizable curves, like a god slowly fading into dream. But the statue at its center, still intact. It's not Apollo, not Athena, not any deity you recognize. It's a woman. Hair like flame, arms outstretched, eyes covered by a crown of leaves. Laurel, thorns, both. At her feet, the same symbol is carved again, but here, it glows faintly in the torchlight. 3 circles, 1 slash. There's a 4th circle now, smaller, nestled at the center. You step back instinctively. Quirky fact time. Unrecorded shrines like this one occasionally pop up in rural Greece. Many feature local deities or syncretized gods, blends of Greek, Roman, and indigenous spirits. Some had no names. Others were worshipped with silence alone. Historians still argue whether these shrines were officially tolerated or quietly ignored. What's clear is this: people feared them. You approach the statue, drawn by some mix of courage and unresolved childhood trauma. The closer you get, the more details emerge. A snake carved around her wrist, a coin embedded in her chest, a mouth slightly open. You lean in, expecting stone. Instead, you hear a voice. Software low. Impossible. She isn't lost. You flinch, stumble back, torch nearly dropping from your grip. There's no one here, just the statue and the figure, the mirror, the hair. Your pulse slams against your ribs like it's trying to escape. She left. You whisper it aloud, testing the idea. Not taken, not killed. Left. By choice or by something greater than choice? The flute plays again, closer now. The hair on your arms lifts in quiet rebellion. Something old is waking. Something that remembers you. You don't run. That would be stupid. And loud. And besides, where would you run to? Up the cliff? Into the whispering trees? Toward the statue that just talked? You do what any reasonable insomniac caught in a mythical thriller would do. You stand very, very still and listen. The flute fades. Not like a song ending, more like someone pausing, waiting to see what you'll do next. Your torch flickers in rhythm with your heart. You glance down and notice something new. A trail. Not footprints exactly, but a line of pressed earth through the tall grass. Too narrow for a deer, too precise for a breeze. So you follow it. Because clearly, your survival instinct packed up 3 sections ago. The path loops behind the shrine, through trees that seem closer together than they should be, as if they're conspiring or hugging. You can't tell. It's been a long night. Eventually, the trail leads you to an opening beneath the earth. A set of stone steps, worn and moist, descend into utter blackness. The torch doesn't want to go down there, but you do. 1 foot after the other, you begin your descent. The air shifts instantly, cooler, denser, somehow wet. You feel the walls close in. The stone is etched here too, not with symbols, but with tiny dots, like Braille, except none of it translates. Halfway down, you stop. You hear breathing. It's not yours. It's beneath you. You keep going. When your feet finally touch level ground again, the space opens into what looks like an underground antechamber. Half cave, half tomb. The ceiling drips. The walls whisper. And someone has been here recently. A torch stub, burned out incense, a scarf, deep purple, embroidered with golden snakes. You pick it up. It smells like crushed mint and wet clay. There's a tapestry nailed to the far wall, ancient, half-faded. You raise your torch and reveal the image. A young woman, laurel crown, eyes glowing gold, and in her hand, a severed head, casual. The caption below is in crude script. Thaleia before she remembered. Nice. You step back, suddenly aware of the temperature. It's rising, not gradually, fast, like the chamber itself is blushing at being seen. And then, the air pulses. Once. Twice. You don't hear it with your ears. You feel it in your bones. A beat. A rhythm. Like something beneath the floor is waking up or counting down. You glance at the wall to your right and spot a narrow crack. You wedge your fingers into it and pull. It opens. Barely. Just enough to slip through. You do. On the other side, a smaller room, even darker. But here, the walls are painted. Not carved, painted. Freshly. Depictions of women. Dozens of them. All in similar robes. All blindfolded. All standing before a throne of fire. And above them, a figure. Not male. Not female. Something else. Eyes like planets. Mouth like a scar. Wings made of script. You don't want to look, but your eyes keep dragging themselves upward. Beside the final panel is a message. She gave herself to the voice. No name, no signature, just that. Mainstream historical anchor here. In ancient Greek religion, some oracles weren't seen as prophets in the modern sense. They were vessels, chosen to host divine consciousness. Possession by a god wasn't rare. It was expected. What's less documented is what happened when the god didn't leave. You take one slow step back. The room doesn't feel right anymore, like the air has grown teeth. And then, laughter. High. Clear. Unmistakably female. But not human. It echoes off the walls, looping, distorting, getting louder with every bounce. You spin, but the room is empty. The laughter stops. A whisper follows. You still believe she was taken? You open your mouth to respond, but what would you say? Yes? The walls seem to lean inward. A voice, different now, deeper, adds, "She asked to vanish." You freeze. Quirky fact. In fringe archaeological circles, there's a theory that some oracles retired by disappearing. They'd perform one final ritual and vanish into the wilderness or deeper temple catacombs to live out their lives in isolation. One such report from 243 BCE describes a Pythia who walked into fire and became birdsong. Historians still argue whether that's poetry or eyewitness testimony. You back away from the wall, turn, and head for the exit crack. Only now, it's gone. Sealed. You're alone. Torch flickering, air pulsing, paint watching. You press your hand to the wall and close your eyes. And something presses back. Fingers. Cool. Gentle. You blink. You're standing outside the chamber. Not sure how you got there. The torch is full again. The scarf is gone. So is the painting. You're alone, but you're not untouched. Not anymore. You stumble back from the sealed stone, breath catching like it's snagged on a thread. You check your satchel. The laurel crown is still there, but something else is now beside it. An object you swear wasn't there before. A ring. Simple. Bronze. Inscribed with the same three-circle symbol. You didn't pick this up. You're almost certain of that. Almost. The wind shifts again, curling around your ears like a question you're too tired to answer. The trees above sway in agreement, or warning. It's hard to tell the difference anymore. You follow the path that shouldn't exist, because now there is one. Clear, newly trodden, leading toward the olive grove once again. And this time, it isn't quiet. You hear birds, not singing, speaking. The words are scrambled like audio on rewind, but distinct, rhythmic, repeating. You crouch behind a low wall, and through the brush, you see her. An old woman, white robes, no shoes, sitting on a crumbled pillar, tossing crumbs to a pair of blackbirds who are absolutely, unquestionably nodding back at her. You approach slowly. She doesn't look up. "You missed her," she says, as if she's been waiting. "But only by about 2,300 years. You blink. She doesn't. She told the birds where she was going, but they're selfish. They won't tell you, not unless you give them something shiny. You glance down at the ring. Of course. You pull it from your satchel and hold it up. Both birds stop pecking. They tilt their heads in eerie, perfect unison. Then they hop forward. One pecks your hand gently. Like a knock, you set the ring on the stone. The bird takes it in its beak and flies off. The old woman sighs. "Should have kept it," she mutters. "But fine. I suppose you'll need a direction." She points to the grove's edge, where a single olive tree stands apart from the rest. Dead. Blackened. As if struck by lightning. Or memory. "That tree wasn't always dead," she whispers. "But she sat beneath it the night before she vanished. Said she was waiting for the moon to speak." You walk toward the tree, each step louder than it should be. The earth around it is scorched, dry, silent. And beneath its roots, something gleams. You crouch. Another offering bowl. Inside, a single feather. White. Unburnt. Again. Next to it, a scrap of parchment rolled tight. You unroll it carefully, expecting gibberish. Instead, you see words. Not Greek, not Latin. English. She walked backward into the sky. You look up. Just clouds. Quirky little fringe theory for you. In the 1800s, a French mystic claimed to have deciphered oracular codes hidden within ancient Greek inscriptions. One message reportedly said, "The voice returns when the eyes forget forward." Naturally, he was ridiculed. Later, murdered. Probably unrelated. Probably. You sit beside the tree. Because what else can you do? The old woman's gone. The birds, too. The grove is quieter now, heavier, but not hostile. You stare at the parchment, trying to make sense of the phrase. She walked backward into the sky. Is it literal? Is it poetry? Is it a map? You close your eyes and lean your head back against the bark, and you hear it. Again. That voice. Thaleia's? You think so? It says one word. Remember. Your eyes snap open. It's night again. Full dark. The stars above blink like confused spectators. And the tree, it's alive. Green. Vibrant. Covered in unripe olives that weren't there a second ago. You stand, blinking against the impossible, and then you see the trail. A new one. Not dirt. Not stone. Light. Glowing footsteps. Faint. But walking away from the tree. Toward the cliff. You follow. Because that's what you do. Because that's who you are now. The wind hums a lullaby as you walk. Not a song. A memory and melody. Like a bedtime story being retold by the earth itself. Historians still argue whether the story of Thaleia was ever real. Some say she was a metaphor for Delphi's decline. Others believe she was a scapegoat, an oracle who knew too much. A few fringe voices insist she never left, that she simply stepped sideways. Whatever the truth, you're closer now. You can feel it in your bones. The glowing trail stops at the edge of a small ravine. Below, nestled in shadow, lies a cave. Its mouth yawns open, waiting. You take a breath and step inside. The cave swallows you like a forgotten lullaby, slow, dark, and strangely warm. The torch throws shadows that dance in silence, revealing a passage that curves gently left, then dips. Every sound is louder here. Your breathing echoes like waves. Your footsteps might as well be drum beats. You pause, not because you're afraid, but because the cave changes. One moment it's rough stone, sharp and cold. The next, smooth marble. Polished. Ancient. Delphi isn't supposed to have caves like this. But here it is. A hallway now. Columns lining each side, each carved with names, none familiar, none quite Greek. You run your fingers along the stone, and it hums, softly, like a sleeping cat. You move forward. The temperature drops. The air feels layered, like walking through old perfume. Jasmine, cedar, and something faintly metallic. Ahead, a faint light glows. Not torchlight. Something cleaner, softer, like moonlight seen through water. You reach the chamber and stop. You're not alone. There are statues, dozens, all women, all in various states of repose, sitting, kneeling, sleeping. Each face is different. Each wears a laurel crown. You walk past them slowly, eyes scanning for signs of life, or maybe signs of memory. Then you see her, the statue in the center, eyes closed, lips parted, hands outstretched. It's her, Thaleia, but not stone, skin, pale, still, breathing. You take a step closer. She doesn't move, but the room does. The torches on the walls, lit now, flicker in tandem, as if drawing breath. The ground beneath you vibrates slightly, like a drum tuning itself. And then you hear it. A heartbeat. Not yours. Not hers. The cave's. One deep thud every few seconds. Ancient. Reluctant. You kneel beside her. She smells like olives and ash. Her fingertips are stained red. Wine? Blood? Paint? Her mouth moves. One word, home. Your mouth goes dry. You whisper back, unsure why. Where? Her eyes don't open. But something behind you does. A door. Circular. Seamless. Carved with that same cursed symbol. 3 circles. 1 slash. It opens. Inside, a staircase spiraling down. Into light. Not fire. Not moonlight. Memory. That's the only word that fits. You turn back to Thaleia. Still, but different now. Smiling. Slightly. Just enough to make your spine question everything. You rise and face the door. 1 foot forward. The air thickens again, but not in fear, in anticipation. You take another step, then pause. One mainstream historical fact to ground us. In certain temples, including those dedicated to Dionysus and Hecate, spiral staircases symbolized rebirth, a journey inward to emerge changed. They weren't practical. They were spiritual centrifuges, designed to separate your soul from your story. This feels like that. You descend, slowly, carefully. Each step echoes not forward, but backward, like time running in reverse. The light grows stronger. You begin to hear voices, dozens, whispering in unison, telling a story, your story, as if the cave has been recording you the entire time. You pause, hand on the railing, suddenly self-conscious. Then you laugh, softly, because of course it has. You reach the bottom. Another chamber, empty, at first. Then your eyes adjust, and you see it. A scroll, resting on a pedestal, gold-trimmed, sealed with wax. But not Apollo's seal. Yours. The wax bears your symbol now, a mark you didn't know you had until this moment. The 3 circles, and a second slash, a choice. You lift the scroll. It's warm. Your name is written on the ribbon. Not the name you use, the one you forgot, the one no one calls you anymore. You read the first line aloud. You are not the first. You close it gently. Something shifts behind you. You turn. The chamber is no longer empty. Every statue from above is here now. Alive, eyes open, watching, silent, waiting. You take a breath. Not fear, understanding. This isn't a trap. It's an invitation. To remember, to choose, to join, or not. The cave won't force you. It never did. but it will wait. Forever, just like her. You stand in the circle of statues, living, breathing, silent women once frozen in stone. Their eyes shimmer in the half-light, catching faint glimmers that seem to come from no visible source. The air vibrates with a strange kind of stillness, like a held breath that's lasted centuries. They don't move. Not yet. But their presence presses in like fog. You hold the scroll tighter. Its heat now pulses faintly against your palm, syncing with your heartbeat, or maybe replacing it. You're not sure anymore which rhythm is yours. You clear your throat. Why? You don't know. There's no social script for this moment. No handbook for confronting a room full of ancient, maybe oracles, maybe waiting for you to do something terribly irreversible. Was she one of you? You ask aloud. It sounds ridiculous the moment it leaves your mouth, but none of them laugh. One tilts her head slightly, and that's answer enough. Yes, but also, not quite. You step toward the center of the chamber, back to the pedestal where the scroll was. The floor is engraved now, something that wasn't there before. Concentric circles again, rippling out from your position like sound waves or a dartboard made of prophecy. Each ring holds names, but none are yours. Yet. One mainstream historical nugget. In many Greek temples, initiates were often recorded in concentric formations around a central figure. The closer the name to the core, the more power, or sacrifice, associated. Think social hierarchy meets spiritual danger. Delphi avoided this, supposedly to remain pure. But maybe they just did it underground. You look up. The statues have moved. Slightly. Just enough to form a tighter circle around you. No hostility. Just proximity. Testing your resolve. You take another step and feel the floor give slightly beneath your feet. Not a trap, just a shift. Like the chamber is recognizing you. From the pedestal's edge, something glows. A mirror, small, oval, bronze. You pick it up, and there she is, Thaleia, not in the room, in the mirror, behind you. You spin fast, but no one's there. You check again. Still her. Closer now. Face soft. Sad. She mouths something. You can't hear it. So you mouth it back. Her expression changes. A flicker of recognition. Then, darkness. Total. Torch out. Statues gone. Scroll gone. Just you. And her voice, right beside your ear. They lied. The darkness is cold. Absolute. But her whisper cuts through it, like a blade made of silk and memory. They told me I was chosen, she says, but I volunteered. Your mouth moves before your mind catches up. Why? Her pause is long. When you hear the gods clearly enough, you stop needing them. And then, light, software gentle, you're in a room. Not the cave, not the temple. A bedroom, stone walls, laurel wreaths carved into the lintel. A single candle burns on a table beside a bed. Her bed. She's sitting in it now. Alive, tangible, reading a scroll. She looks up, sees you, smiles, not surprised. Hello again, she says. Again? You want to speak, but your throat's dry. There's something ancient in her gaze, like she's remembering you forward. You asked once why the spring ran dry, she says. It didn't. You just forgot how to drink. You sit across from her. You don't remember doing it, but you're there. She passes the scroll to you. It's blank. Until you touch it, then words appear. Your handwriting. From a dream you haven't had yet. Quirky fact to keep your brain grounded. In early Greek dream rituals, it was believed that certain questions could be answered by entering a God-sent sleep in sanctified spaces. Known as incubation, these dreams were often vivid, prophetic, and unsettlingly specific. Some woke with answers. Others didn't wake at all. You trace the words appearing on the scroll. They form slowly, painfully. She asked to vanish, yes, but not forever. You look back at Thaleia, but she's not there. She's on the bed, sleeping now, older, eyes closed, crown beside her. The room is quiet again, except for the faintest whisper. She'll wake if you need her. You rise, step outside. The air is cool, crisp, real. You're at the temple again. Only now, it's morning. The sun rises over the hills, casting gold over broken stones. The shrine is gone. The statues too, just you. And the birds, one black, one white, perched on the altar, watching, waiting. The birds don't move. Just sit there, feathers twitching in the morning breeze, heads cocked with impossible precision. 1 foot each balanced on the altar's edge like they've claimed it. Like they've claimed you. You stare back, half expecting them to burst into flame or start reciting poetry. Instead, the white one drops something. A marble. Round, smooth, deep blue, almost black. You pick it up. It hums, faintly, but undeniably. Like it remembers something. Like it wants you to remember too. You look up again. The birds are gone. You're alone. Again. But the marble in your palm pulses once. Twice. You glance around, not sure what you're waiting for. Then you hear it. A child's voice, laughing. Faint, but nearby. You follow it instinctively, because at this point, turning back feels more dangerous than forward. The path winds you toward the old part of Delphi, the part tourists don't visit, the foundations of long-gone homes, half swallowed by weeds and time. You step carefully over fallen lintels and broken amphorae, your eyes searching for movement or memory or both. And there she is, not Thaleia, a child, maybe 8, maybe 10, sitting on a broken wall, dangling her legs, playing with a bundle of laurel leaves tied in gold thread. She hums softly, off-key, familiar. You approach slowly. "Hello?" you say. She looks up and smiles. Not like a stranger, like someone who's been waiting for you to catch up. "You found the stone," she says. You glance at the marble in your hand. "Yes." "It's not a stone," she adds. "It's a memory. Someone else's." "Whose?" She shrugs. "Yours, maybe, if you want it." She hops down and walks over to you. Her eyes are dark, ancient, wrong, but kind. She points to a half-buried cellar door behind the ruins. "She left it there," the girl says. The part she didn't want to keep. And then, like all good mystery children, she vanishes behind a pillar and doesn't come back. You exhale, slowly. Then you approach the door. It creaks open with a groan that sounds like regret. Inside, Darkness, but different from the cave. This is domestic darkness. Dust, wood, old prayers. You descend into a small cellar, and there it is, a box, wooden, plain, sealed with wax. Same 3-circle symbol. No slash this time, just a keyhole. You don't have a key, but your hand, without your permission, reaches for the marble and pushes it into the lock. It fits. Of course it does. The box clicks open. Inside, parchment, faded, brittle, barely intact. You unroll it slowly, careful not to breathe too hard. A confession, written in hurried Greek. You translate as you go, whispering it aloud. I saw what they never wanted me to see. The God is not above. The God is beneath. It does not speak. It listens, and it remembers everything. Your fingers tremble. There's more. She spoke to it, not for it. That was the mistake. The gods are echoes. She found the voice. Then, a name. Yours. Not your current name. The one from before. The one from the scroll. The one you hadn't said aloud yet. And next to it, a date. Today, quirky twist time. Delphi had secret cults, sure. Everyone knows that. But there were also rumors of a reverse oracle, someone who received prophecies not from the gods, but from humans, who listened to the voices of the dead, the forgotten, the not quite gone. They weren't popular or welcome. They usually vanished. You close the box and sit down beside it, breathing steady, hands calm, mind less so. You realize now, Thaleia didn't disappear. She was pulled sideways, not against her will, not entirely. She chose this, but not just for herself, for the next. You pocket the marble again, but it doesn't hum anymore. It's done what it came to do. You step outside. It's afternoon now. The light slants differently, warmer, calmer. A breeze stirs the laurel branches above you, and for a moment, you hear her voice. Not in your ears, in your bones. Just one word. Ready? You stand at the edge of the ruins, the marble still warm beneath your fingertips. The birds have vanished, the marble in your pocket silent. The air is thick with the scent of laurel and dust, and the sun casts long shadows that stretch like fingers across the ancient stones. You take a deep breath, the weight of the scroll's words pressing against your chest. She asked to vanish, yes, but not forever. The phrase echoes in your mind, a whisper that refuses to fade. You turn away from the ruins, your footsteps crunching softly on the gravel path. The world feels different now, as if the veil between past and present has thinned, allowing glimpses of what once was. As you walk, you recall the stories of the Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi, who sat upon her tripod, inhaling vapors from the earth, and spoke the words of the gods. Historians have long debated the source of her visions. Some suggest ethylene gas, seeping through the fissures in the temple floor, induced her trance-like state. But what if it wasn't the gas? What if it was the memory? You reach the Castalian spring, its water still flowing, clear and cold. You kneel and cup your hands, drinking deeply. The water tastes of minerals and time, and for a moment, you feel connected to every seeker who has ever come here, thirsting for answers. You sit by the spring, the sun warming your back, and close your eyes. The world fades, and you find yourself in a different place. A chamber, dimly lit, with walls covered in ancient inscriptions. The air is thick with incense, and a figure sits before you, her face hidden in shadow. "Do you seek the truth?" she asks. You nod. Then listen. She begins to speak, her voice weaving a tapestry of stories, of gods and mortals, of love and betrayal, of choices made and paths not taken. Each word resonates within you, stirring memories you didn't know you had. When she finishes, the chamber fades, and you are back by the spring. You open your eyes, the sun now lower in the sky. The world feels heavier, as if burdened by the weight of countless stories. You rise and continue your journey, the path leading you back to the temple ruins. As you approach, you notice a new inscription on the stone. The voice returns when the eyes forget forward. You smile, understanding now that the past is never truly gone. It lives within us, waiting to be remembered. You trace the inscription with your fingers, the grooves still fresh, still dustless, like it was etched seconds ago by a hand that's now vanished into the stone. The voice returns when the eyes forget forward. You whisper it again, just to hear it out loud, just to let it echo back and see if it sounds any different the second time. It does. Behind you, wind stirs the olive leaves, and for a moment, they sound like a slow ripple of applause or warning. Again, hard to tell. You descend back toward the amphitheater, the one you passed when you first arrived. From up close, it looks smaller now, less grand, more intimate. You walk down the rows, past the ghosts of audiences and orators, and take a seat in the front row. And there she is, standing on the center stone. Thaleia, no longer hidden, no longer silent. She raises her arms, not in greeting, but in invitation. You step down to the stage. She doesn't speak. Neither do you. She just reaches into her robe and pulls out something small, wrapped in faded purple cloth. She holds it out to you. You take it. It's a mask, carved from olive wood. Simple, smooth, no expression. Just eyes. You look at her. She nods. So you do the only thing that makes sense now. You put it on. And the world flips, like gravity forgot where it belonged. You stumble but don't fall. Instead, you land somewhere else. The same space, but different. Brighter, and yet no sun. Full, yet no crowd. You stand alone on the same stage, but in front of you is a swirling sea of faces, shifting, blinking, vanishing, and reappearing. All versions of you, younger, older, stranger. They're watching. You speak, not because you want to, but because your mouth already knows the words. The gods no longer whisper. Pause. They listen. You lift your arms like she did, and the faces lean forward. This is the rite. Not prophecy, not vision, but memory, the giving of it. You close your eyes and begin to speak. Not in Greek, not in English, in something older. Your tongue remembers it even if your brain doesn't. Each phrase you say removes one face from the crowd, until only one remains. Yours, unmasked. It stares at you, then smiles and says, "She's ready now." You wake up in the theater again, mask still in hand, stage empty. But there's a mark on your palm now, not burned, not tattooed. Just there. 3 circles, no slash. You glance behind you. A single scroll rests on the front row bench where you were sitting before. You pick it up, unroll it. It's not a story. It's a map of somewhere that doesn't exist. Yet, mainstream fact here. Ancient Greek drama was directly linked to religion. Theater wasn't entertainment. It was ritual. Some plays weren't meant to be understood, only experienced. The idea was to unsettle, not resolve. Catharsis wasn't comfort. It was collapse. And you're starting to realize that's what this whole journey is. Not a mystery, not a story, but a stage, a memory rehearsed through you. A ritual that only works if you forget forward. You fold the scroll and look up. The path behind the theater is open now, one you hadn't seen before, and it glows, faintly, like the edge of a page turning itself. You step onto the glowing path without hesitation now. You've stopped questioning the logic of it, if logic ever had anything to do with this at all. The stones beneath your feet feel warmer than they should. They pulse faintly with each step, like they're checking your pulse against their own. The path narrows quickly, funneling between 2 walls of ivy-covered stone. The leaves shimmer, not with dew, but memory. Tiny glimpses flash in the corners of your eyes, hands lighting incense, a girl in white laughing behind a pillar, a masked figure kneeling in front of an empty throne. You don't look directly. You've learned by now. Not everything here wants to be seen head-on. The path leads to a garden, walled in, untouched by time. In the center, a pool, still, silent. You approach and see your reflection, but not as you are, as you were. Child, laughing, laurel crown too big for your head. You blink, and the image shifts. Older now, sitting beside Thaleia, her hand on your shoulder. Both of you watching something burn just off screen. You blink again. Back to you now. Real time. Real you. Except the eyes. Those don't quite look like yours anymore. You sit at the edge of the pool and notice something odd. The water is warm, and it's humming. Like before. That subterranean hum of something ancient and awake. You reach out and skim the surface. The ripple it sends echoes outward, but also inward. A voice rises from the pool, not hers, yours, but earlier. Why did I come here? You smile slightly. I don't know yet. The pool chuckles. Wrong answer. You pause and say the only true thing you've said all day. To remember something no one else could. The water approves. It goes still again and reveals something beneath the surface. A doorway, submerged, waiting. You take a breath and dive. The water closes over your head like silk spun from thunderclouds. You swim down, the light above disappearing fast. But the door glows ahead. You reach it, touch it. It opens without sound, and you fall through. Not swim, fall. Into a library, endless. Stacked high with scrolls, parchments, bound thoughts. You land gently. Of course. The chamber smells like cedar and thyme. You walk forward, dripping but unworried. These scrolls aren't wet. They're not there in the traditional sense. You realize this is the archive, not of Delphi, of the oracles, their memories. Everything they didn't say aloud. Everything they weren't allowed to. You brush your hand along a shelf and words explode in your mind. They buried me with the question. The gods stopped listening when we stopped asking. She didn't see the future. She erased the past. You stumble back, overwhelmed, and something catches you. Not someone, something, a presence, gentle, heavy. It steadies you and says, she kept your memory here. For when you'd return, you turn, and she's there. Thaleia, no longer a ghost, no longer a dream, alive, real, older than before, but also you. You see it now. You were never following her. You were remembering yourself. She offers you a scroll, not sealed, open, blank. You know what to write, she says, and you do. Mainstream anchor here. The oldest oracular traditions weren't spoken. They were written, fragmented, hidden. Many scrolls were never meant to be read. They were burned immediately after writing. It was the act that mattered. The memory transferred, not preserved. You kneel, scroll in hand. Ink appears, without you needing it. And you begin to write your story, not hers, yours. The first word bleeds out like a sigh you've been holding for centuries. It curls on the parchment in ink the color of dusk, something between black and blue, and the end of a conversation. You don't think about what you're writing. You don't need to. The story knows itself. You're just letting it come home. Around you, the library pulses softly, not with light, with presence, like 1,000 voices gently nodding, encouraging, not interrupting. These aren't the loud gods of Olympus. These are the quiet ones, the listeners, the rememberers. You write, she was never lost. She was never alone. She stepped sideways, not away. The ink keeps flowing, line after line. Your hand doesn't cramp. Your mind doesn't wander. It's not writing, not really. It's remembering aloud. And then, as your hand hovers for the next sentence, the scroll ends. Clean, final, no tear, no gap, just an ending. And suddenly, you feel lighter, as if you'd been carrying something in your chest this whole time and only now let it go. You stand. Thaleia's no longer beside you, but her presence is, like a fading scent in a familiar room. You place the scroll gently on the shelf nearest the entrance. It doesn't fall. It doesn't burn. It simply joins the others, like it always belonged there. You turn to leave, but the room has changed. The exit is no longer behind you. It's ahead, arched, lined with stone, lit by soft flickers of golden light. You walk toward it. Your footsteps don't echo now. They settle. Outside the arch, a corridor, cool, curved, and in the distance, a statue. You approach. It's familiar. Your face, your features, but not as you are now, as you could be. Crowned in laurel, eyes closed, mouth slightly open, as if mid-breath, mid-thought, mid-prophecy. Beneath the statue, an inscription, for the one who returned the voice. And beside it, a coin, freshly minted, not ancient, not aged. New. You pick it up. It bears your name. Not the one you arrived with, the one you earned, the one you remembered. Flip side, Thaleia's face, smiling. Mainstream drop for the skeptics in the back. There have been coins discovered with female figures labeled Pythia or Voice of Delphi. Most mainstream historians write them off as ceremonial, but a few suggest otherwise, that they marked individuals not of royal blood, but of narrative power. Oracular truth, not political lineage. You tuck the coin into your satchel. It hums briefly, once, then goes quiet. You walk forward again. The corridor narrows, then flares into light. You shield your eyes and find yourself back, not at the temple, but at its edge, the ruins where it all began. The birds are there again, black and white, watching. The old woman, too, sitting beside a new pile of crumbs. She doesn't speak, just nods once, approving. You smile and walk past her. You're not here to ask anymore. You're here to listen, to the land, to the stories, to the ones who stepped sideways, hoping someone would one day follow. And remember, the wind has changed. It's softer now, like it's been waiting patiently for you to come back. Not to the start, but to this version of yourself, the one that made it through. You step past the crumbled columns and sun-warmed stones, your feet remembering where to walk without needing permission. The ruins are no longer ruins. They're home, not in a nostalgic way. In that way, only deep memory can feel familiar, bone memory, soul memory. You stop at the old altar again. Something rests there now. A new scroll, not dusty, not hidden, waiting. You open it. It's short, just one line. She lives where the questions never end. You smile. That feels about right. Then you hear singing, faint. From below, you descend the familiar path one more time, past where the statues once stood, through the corridor that once hummed with silent questions. The chamber is empty now, except a single candle. Literature. Next to it, a feather. The same kind the birds left you earlier. You kneel beside it and watch the flame. And as you do, images flicker in the shadows around the room. Not scary, not threatening, just true. You see Thaleia again. But not as she was, as she is now. A librarian, a memory keeper, a story gardener. You see her whispering to a child, not teaching, remembering. You see yourself in one of the shadows, holding a scroll, laughing, then crying, then still. You blink and the room is normal again, empty. You rise and walk back into the light. And there, on the hill just past the spring, stands someone new. Another traveler, lost, confused, just like you once were. They don't speak. They don't need to. You nod, then point to the path, the one that glows faintly when you remember how to look at it. They hesitate. You hand them the coin, the one with your face. They accept it, and the path appears. You watch them take the first step, and then disappear around the bend. You turn away, not to leave, but to begin again. Because this place doesn't end, it listens, and it waits. And when the next one comes, you'll be here. Maybe not in flesh, maybe not even in memory, but in voice. Because that's what this place is. Not a shrine, not a story, a whisper. One that finds you when you stop asking for answers, and start listening for questions. Mainstream historians will never agree on what really happened to the Oracle Thaleia. Some will say she died. Others will argue she ran away. A few might even dare to suggest she never existed at all, that she was a cautionary tale stitched into myth. But then again, you were there, weren't you? The stars are out when you finally sit. Same spot as before, near the temple ruins, feet half buried in dust, back against a stone that once held offerings to gods now forgotten. You breathe slowly, the kind of slow that feels earned. Above, the night hums. Not with crickets, not with wind, with presence. Everything feels like it's listening. You pull the scroll from your satchel, the one you wrote, the one that came from nowhere and yet always belonged to you. The parchment is cool, dry, familiar. It doesn't glow. It doesn't hum. It just is. And maybe that's the point. You unroll it, not to read, but to remember. Each word reminds you of something you didn't know you'd lost. The birds land nearby again, one black, one white. They nod at you like old friends who already know the story, but still love hearing it. You smile and speak, not loudly, just enough. "Hey, Thaleia," you say to the sky. "You were right." No reply, just the breeze moving like a satisfied exhale. You lean back and close your eyes, letting the memory settle in your bones, letting the whispers become part of your breath. You don't need another sign. You don't need proof. You were the proof, all along. Mainstream note: the ancient Greeks believed that truth didn't always require evidence. Sometimes, it only required remembering it well enough to feel real. They called it aletheia, literally unforgetting. You're not here to forget. You're here to unforget. To keep the story moving forward by walking backward into it. The candle beside you flickers. The birds take flight. And your scroll? Gone. Taken. Returned. Rewritten. A final whisper tucks into your ear like a kiss from time itself. She didn't vanish. She just became the place you return to. You open your eyes, not afraid, not alone, just still, just enough. So, here you are. The journey's over, but not finished. You've walked through ruins, through riddles, through memories you didn't know were yours. You followed footsteps that glowed in the dark, whispered to birds that remembered too much, and stood before the memory of someone who never really left. You've carried the question all the way to the end, and maybe that's all that matters, that you carried it, that you listened, that you remembered what so many forgot. Let that question rest with you now. Let it settle into your breath, into the weight of your bones against the bed, into the gentle hum of whatever soft sound you've chosen to keep you company tonight. Maybe it's a fan. Maybe it's the wind. Maybe it's the voice still lingering just beyond the edge of sleep. And now? Now you get to let go. There's nothing else you need to do. No answers to chase. No endings to explain. Just this moment. Just this breath. And whatever dream decides to find you next, you've done enough. You've remembered enough. And Thaleia? She's still out there. Or maybe she's already inside you. Either way, she's smiling. So close your eyes now. Let the memory fade just enough to soften the edges. And sleep. Sleep deep. Sleep long. Sleep as if you never forgot. Sweet dreams.